This is the GTM AI podcast, episode number 32 with CEO and co-founder of GRW AI, Alex McNaughton, and we deep dive into how his tech can help anyone sell and have success. This is sponsored by the GTM AI Academy, your go-to source for learning how to use AI in companies, teams, and in your individual workflow. Business impact over learning tools.
Morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It is I, once again, the lovely Coach K. I hope it's lovely. Maybe Alex can tell me if it's lovely later, so there we go. Alex, my man, I have the co-founder and CEO of GRW. I don't know if you go by GRW AI, but GRW, GRW, right?
Yeah, GRW AI, yes.
GRW AI, I love it. So excited to have you. You're, I think, my first guest from calling from down under, or I should say zooming in from down under, which is pretty cool. But I just want to say, Alex McNaughton, super good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, and thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, man. I know if you're listening and not watching the video, this beard you got, I can never get a beard that long because it drives me crazy. So like
mine goes like full ginger. It's weird. Like I'm brown there, but my beard comes like full orange.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just rocking it.
Yeah. Mine does. When I was younger, it was more red and it's gotten darker and now it's starting to go gray. So that's pretty cool. First off, thank you for coming on. Super excited to have you. Real quick, a little bit of background. I'll run this off of LinkedIn if no one knows who you are. I was fascinated that at one time you're a columnist for the business desk in New Zealand. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I got to ask you some questions there. Advisor for New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, founder of the Sales Leaders, co-founder of Aprinto, and now obviously the co-founder and CEO of GRW AI. So there's pretty cool stuff. Now, what I'd love to know is more of going from a columnist to now a CEO of an AI tech. I got to know the journey. How did that all happen to where you are now?
So I was just a guest columnist. That wasn't a full-time gig. That was just, I knew the founder of Business Desk and he asked me to write a little bit about sales and go to market for their readership. Yeah. So I was just doing that on the side. But no, look, my background, I fell into tech sales at 19. First sales hire at a tech startup, ended up their VP of sales and fell in love with sales during that journey. 2 big companies, 1 more growth company. And then the last 6 years I've spent building organizations to support sales and revenue functions. And now GRW AI is a generative AI coach for the revenue org.
Before we dive into too much stuff, like I'd love to know more. I totally forgot to change my background. So everyone's just got to put up me changing my background. So there you go. I'd love to know more about why you chose to do what you're doing with GRW AI. Like before the call, you said we'd fall underneath the enablement bucket. What were you experiencing before and why was this direction you decided to go with GRW?
I felt the pain as a seller, then a sales leader, and then ultimately saw the same problems again and again across over 200 companies in my previous businesses, supporting over 200 companies. And really the problem we solve is the sales execution gap. And what is that? It's that we've got salespeople who are not being developed. Less than 10% of salespeople are getting regular coaching. And as a result of that, they're not showing up as their best selves for buyers. And we're seeing quota attainment of 39%. And then throw on top of that, your average salesperson is in the role for 14 months and this crazy turnover in organizations need to get people up to speed fast. It's just a bit of a recipe for disaster. Yeah. So that's the problem we solve, is helping salespeople win more deals, speed sales cycles, increase their conversion rates utilizing AI.
I'm curious then, because enablement as covers a gamut of different things, but you're basically just narrowing it even further to the execution piece, whether it's skills or knowledge or process, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those who haven't seen your demo yet, and by the way, I'll include the demo of your tech inside the library. So if someone wants to go see it, they go to your YouTube, they go to the library. It's in a lot of different places. But if they haven't seen it, how would you describe like I don't like to be feature heavy, but like what particular parts of enablement are you using AI to enable?
So really the simplest way to think about it is, imagine if every single one of your salespeople in your organization had a deal coach available to them that had intimate knowledge of who you are, what you sell, who you sell to, and your way of selling, as well as got to know that individual. So it's hyper personal and understands their deals and what deals they're working on, et cetera, et cetera. And that deal coach is helping them in the flow of work, navigate problems, write better customer communications, prepare for meetings, and level up their capability. And from an organization's perspective, it's embedding their best practice in the flow of work across their teams.
That's cool. I'm gonna ask some tech questions. I'm just curious. I'm gonna start diving into some specifics. But are you developing your own AI? Is it like just tapping into the open sources, which I again don't blame. I'm just curious. Like, what's the back end look like for your AI?
So we use a number of different large language models for different parts of our platform.
Cool.
Our philosophy on this is let's use the latest and greatest and leverage the different large language models out there and
Right.
be in a position that when a new one's released, we can slot it in the day and get all the advantages of the advancements in that tech.
Yeah, it's good to hear that because I know that in the beginning when when it started out, people didn't think that way, and so they were restricting themselves. But I think it's smart to be able to leverage that because as fast as tech is changing, like from an educational standpoint, I have to update my education all the time because Claude releases something new, and then 4.0 Mini comes out, and then you have Gemini, and
Yep.
that's all these changes all the time. But the nice thing is, like with, for example, 4.0 Mini, you don't have this really inexpensive but better model that can do different tasks better than the 3.5 could that was more expensive.
Well,
So
that's it. And my co-founder, he's resident AI expert. He's got a master's in machine learning from Cambridge. He's a
mhm,
published ML researcher. So I can't take credit for our AI strategy. That's all Alistair. It's given us a real advantages because every single time advancements come out, we can just take advantage of that. And our platform gets better and our users' experience gets better.
I like that. Let's dive in for a second. So run me an example, if you don't mind, of a before and after. So
Mhm.
a classic coaching scenario of what you've seen in the past as a sales leader. Like, how did it happen in the past with coaching to a skill or whatever? And then now, as a result of grow, what's the difference between how it was versus how it can be with your tech?
The reality is most salespeople are not getting coached.
Mhm.
So about a third of salespeople get any coaching, roughly just under 10% get regular coaching. So that's
Right.
the before. And I'll use a customer example. One of our customers, before we started working with them, they had actually gone through a bit of a tough patch. The last 18 months were a bit hard for them. They'd done some restructures, et cetera, et cetera. They brought in Grow AI across their both acquisition and CS teams. And Grow AI helped their teams to win more deals, win larger deals, win deals faster. In their first quarter, every single salesperson or sales and customer facing person in that organization was at or above quota, as well as one of their senior salespeople won a company record multi seven figure deal. And the craziest part about all of this is their sales manager left partway through that quarter, partway.
Oh, wow.
And Taylor, the name is of our AI, was acting as deal coach for all of those people, helping them win more, elevate their capability, and yeah, they're just crushing it now. They just released their numbers, and it's yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's cool. Okay. So I'm going to, how do I say this? In the enablement world, you hear every single tech out there that says we can help shorten your win rates, we can help or
Mhm.
accelerate your win rates and in your sales deal cycle. This is the promise that everyone has said for years. And I'm not saying that you're inaccurate, but I would love to hear you tap into more of double tap for me and like how did that happen with the deal coach of like the execution piece? Because I want to be able to show people through your lens what's capable with AI because I think a lot of people don't understand. Can AI understand the context of an opportunity and then be able to coach towards something else? Because right now, most people don't experience that. So I'd love to
Yeah.
know what you're thinking, the frameworks behind the closed doors. They're building this coach to give you the information they need to get what they need to go to win.
So I'll use that deal as an example. Ben, the account exec I'm thinking of, you worked with Taylor to prepare for meetings.
Mhm.
So that, and the reason that's important in 2024 is our customers expect more from us. It's not good enough to show up with my 20 discovery questions and just go through the motions. Like I have to
Right.
come with an opinion. I have to come with insight. I have to come hopefully with some tailored questions that are actually going to resonate.
Yeah.
Ben used Taylor to prepare for the first discovery meetings. He then used it to write hyper contextually rich customer communications in between meetings, set next steps, figure out his deal strategy once he was actually in the deal, then fast forward, help him build up a really rich proposal for a more complex enterprise deal. Then the customer was asking for a discount towards the end of the sales process, and then
Mhm.
effectively workshopped with Taylor, like he would have done with a sales coach or with his
Manager.
boss, in
Right.
terms of how to navigate that, how to not give up too much value in the deal, get the deal done, ultimately close the deal. So Taylor played the part of expert manager, but the difference is Taylor can be in 10 places at once, 100 places at once and a manager can't. I think that what what's the like the magic here? It's the hyper rich context. It's understanding how that organization sells and all the understanding of what they're selling, And then
Yeah.
also the mode of action in terms of how, if you're used to using ChatGPT, you got a prompt. If you don't write a really good prompt, you're not going to get a very good outcome. With
Right.
Taylor, you just talk natural language like you're talking to a human. So that way adoption's really good from salespeople.
Good. So is it like, in essence, can AI role play? Because I haven't played with the tool, but is it something where they get in, click a button, talk to a thing, and the thing talks back and says, you should go do this, blah, 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 based on the context? Or is it more like text-based or multi-use, or how do people interact?
Multi-use. Most of our users use voice, but you can also obviously copy stuff in.
Cool.
We're integrated with CRM, so it's pulling context from the deals you're working on as well.
Yeah.
So every deal you work on, every opportunity you work on in CRM is in Grow. So if I'm talking about company ABC, it's going to know all about that and all the prior context. It's also going to build up context over time as I'm working through the opportunity with the coach.
What do you feel like? I hear a lot of times when it comes to this type of use case, and please know I'm an AI fan, but the concern I hear coming up is the trust factor. Like, how can I trust that the AI will bring the most relevant thing, information, content, whatever, so that's recommending the right
Mm.
play for the person? Like, how do you, number one, help the AI not hallucinate? And number two, how do you talk to people through that mindset?
So how it doesn't hallucinate, Alistair's worked some wizardry on that in terms of eliminating that from occurring. But in terms of the bigger part of that question is how does an organization trust that Taylor is giving the right kind of support to their team? We
Yeah.
train it on them. So when we bring on a new customer, we train it on their playbooks. So effectively, imagine Taylor ingesting an organization's sales playbook and all of that rich contextual information, testimonials, case studies, solution information, and their way of selling. So tailored coaching to that. So tailored coaching the way you want your teams to be learning. And then she's also improving over time.
What's fascinating, like I literally just recently, a year ago now, we implemented the company I was at, bought a very well-known sales methodology, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, came
Yep.
in, did some consulting. It was very good that we did that, but it was crazy the process to be on the other side as enablement. And then they gave us like this document afterwards that had not necessarily a playbook, it was more like the methodology playbook that
Yep.
I had then had to adjust and apply to the stages and to the people and to the whatever
Mhm.
stuff. But it was an 80-page document. And I knew there was no way in the world a salesperson is going to run through 80 pages to try to figure, okay, I'm on
Never.
stage 2 of this. Like no one would ever do that. So I think what people don't understand is that what sometimes we ask people to do without AI is a little ridiculous. Because I don't even know if a sales leader would do that. It's not like you go through 80 pages and figure this. It's just crazy how we used to do it. So
So like old way of learning is company invests money in a content management system, learning management system, and uploads a bunch of videos and training docs, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah,
I'm the salesperson and I'm now in an enterprise deal and I've got a specific challenge that I need to help navigate. Old way of learning is go search for the right video, spend 20 minutes finding it. Oh, now I'm going to watch the video or read through this 80-page manual like you described.
yeah,
Let's be honest, 70% of that content is completely wasted and it's never viewed. That's the actual data. New way is, hey, Taylor, this is the situation. Can you help me with that advice as I need it? But the difference is Taylor's going to disagree with me if she thinks I'm doing something wrong. So if I'm like, Taylor, I'm going to discount 50%. I want to get this deal done. Taylor's going to slow me right down and say, hey, hold on a second. Before we jump to that, have we done ABC things in the same way that an expert human would?
that's cool. Do you feel, how do I say this? Is there, I guess you could say analytics, KPIs, something, is there something that bubbles up that shows you measurements of items that you didn't expect that give you a different light on the process or skills or whatever that you would not have had without Taylor? Does that make sense?
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's the other side of our platform is team intelligence.
I promise I
So
did not tee him up. I'm genuinely asking. I
so
promise.
being able to uncover where are the gaps across the organization, where are people struggling? So a good example,
Yeah.
one of our customers, Taylor, surfaced that about 2/3 of their BDR organization could not have a commercial or ROI based business conversation. As a result of that, deals were getting stuck mid funnel. They just weren't progressing. Uh, like seems like a reasonably small insight. These guys used call recording software, but it wasn't being picked up there because that can only tell you what's being said. It can't tell you what's not being said or where people are actually struggling. And the managers had missed this too because they had quite large teams. Taylor had surfaced this by speaking to every single one of those salespeople individually, asking questions and then being able to piece it together in terms of, okay, like where are people getting stuck? Taylor then surfaced that to the managers as well as enablement. They collaborated, built some sales training, and then Taylor helped reinforce that. And they had a record quarter the following quarter.
That's awesome. Going into that, because I know like in the enablement world, I'm sure you probably heard this too, but like an argument that's been, I shouldn't say argument, conversation that's been going on for a long time is how in the heck do you prove the value of enablement? So
Mhm.
I have a two-sided question for you on this, which is one, obviously the tool can help with the value, but the function of enablement as a result of AI, it used to be was very human centric because
Mhm.
that's the way you could do it. Either a manager, the enablement person, or whatever would have to do some sort of thing, or an external methodology expert would come in and train and blah, 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 all this
Mhm.
stuff. Fast forward to now is that it's getting closer to where how humans hopefully learn better is through experience and through something more real. As a result of AI, and because you're now having AI tech doing enablement, what do you think enablement will look like in a few years when it's like AI is like everywhere?
Um, so I think AI, and again, like if I use our example there, like I think AI and what we're seeing is that it is helping enablement focus on the right things. It's actually really difficult as an enablement function to figure out what you should even be
Right.
training on or what you should be
Right.
coaching to. I think AI can, in our case anyway, certainly help sales enablement allocate time, effort, and resource towards the right things. And then also attribute that what they're doing is working. So I think there's that side of it. Like to the broader
Mhm.
question as of what does enablement look like in the future? It's a good question. I would say that it's going to be more around actually, I think, reviewing and refining the types of coaching that an AI is giving people and almost doing some like quality control on that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to come in. I think it's going to be a lot less building video content and that sort of thing. I think it
Yeah.
doesn't make as much sense anymore. Yeah, I also think that the sales enablement function will be much more closely tied to actual performance as well as a result of this sort of technology coming through, which I think is a good thing.
I love it because that's what I've been where I sit on it is that I personally feel like enablement is ultimately change management and performance improvement. And the mechanisms we've done in the past of training or content or whatever it is are just they're the ways we get to that end of how do we improve performance. And I've always thought, and I felt like this for a long time, but especially this last year over AI and seeing the changes, I always keep feeling myself as a, well, let's back up a second. I'll come back to what I was going to say. When I learn enablement, when I get my ego out of the way and I realize that I'm not the expert of all things, but my job is to deliver expertise to others. Like I'm an expert at finding experts who can give their expertise. That's
Mhm.
my job. And most of the time, I'm not the expert. It's either a top sales rep or it's a sales manager, or maybe it's somebody else
Mhm.
or whoever. And now you have AI. AI can do that in scale all the time. And you think about videos, the only video content I would ever make in that scenario, because the AI can duplicate everything else, would be some sort of auto capture of real conversations of what good looks like, or what bad looks like, or
Yep.
whatever. So we can
Yep.
share the best cases. This is this person killing it. And the AI can identify all of it for me. But being in a world where in the Hunger Games term of the CRO is the emperor and I'm the game maker, so I can rule the environment. That's how I see enablement going is that, like you said, it's the systems and tools and it, everything you have going on is all for the purpose of improving. Sorry for my spiel. I just wanted to chime in there for a second. I'll shut up now. Okay, your turn. What do you think that, how do I say this? What would you hope would be possible in the future that isn't now yet available, but you hope could be available in the future for a sales motion or salesperson?
A really good question. I don't have a great answer to it in all honesty, because I feel like we're doing things that were only possible for 3 months ago. And like we're just starting to
Right.
get into it. You know, I'll tell you what I don't want to see.
Okay, yeah,
Because
we'll do that. I like it.
I'm gonna go there because I think there is talk of this world of, oh, AI can just replace salespeople. And I fundamentally don't believe that. I
Right.
think AI, like our philosophy on this is AI should augment salespeople. I see a world where being in sales, you're spending more time focused on the customer and less time doing the admin and that side of things. So I
Yes.
think there's big unlocks there. And then I also see technology more broadly just helping people get better at their job so that when they are speaking to customers, they're showing up as their best possible selves. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah.
Um, I think then the next like part of that is then how does AI and technology more broadly help leaders to better manage people and be better leaders? And that's definitely a part of what we're building for as well. Is like
Mhm.
how can we make the classic story of your salesperson promoted to the manager with zero
Right.
management experience or zero
Yeah.
management training? And like, how do we make them a really good leader? Like, how do we enable them to quickly become that leader that everyone loves and help them be good in their role? So like, that's the other side of what we're building for, is to support frontline managers to be better people leaders.
That's cool. I like that a lot because that's obviously a huge pain, and not because of someone's lack of desire or ability, just time to develop and purpose.
So that was me. I was 19, first sales hire. And then suddenly, I think just before my 20th birthday, I started like having staff,
Yeah.
and no one showed me how to manage people. I made like every mistake in the book. And I wish that someone had taught me, like, you learn by what's the expression, like trial by fire. And that's the common experience for a new sales manager. I think technology can help with that side too.
I think I have a couple more questions for you, but one would be just left me. Where to go? Making sure I can phrase this so it makes sense. And don't worry, I'm going to edit all of this space out. With AI, and you think about, okay, I have two questions. I'm writing it down so I don't forget. First one, and we'll end with these two. First one is, what would you say as a result of AI, like your tech, for example? And you just said, we want to make it AI augmented versus AI replaced.
Mhm.
In the new world, what is the AI responsible for? And then what is the human responsible for that you think would be ideal as a good balance?
Um, I think like the really short answer there is salespeople spending more time with customers versus on admin. I think there's
Yeah.
obvious wins there. And then I also see the other side of it as helping salespeople to level up their capability so that when they are with customers, they are significantly better. And the demands on salespeople are going to continue to increase in this information rich world. But yeah, that's definitely. And right now, the average salesperson spends like 30% of time with customers.
Hi.
I think that should very quickly shift to 50%, 60%.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I always come down to until AI buys from AI, the relationship actually matters. So you got to make sure you have
Hmm.
people to have that relationship. So I see the future where some parts of the sales process might be automated, but for the most
Yep.
part, they're going to want to have that trust built and have that relationship, which means they're going to be really good at building rapport and really good negotiators. And
Hmm.
all the other stuff is going to start to sift away, and you have to people who are really skilled in those things, which would be awesome. You know, I the last question is a fascinating one for you. I feel like there's times where we're using AI to do things as we've always done them better, faster, easier, cheaper. But it's the
Hmm.
same process, just AI is just replacing a certain task that a human did. And then I feel like there's this new world where things are emerging that either creates a new process or a new way of doing things that weren't capable before because the tech wasn't there to be supportive of it.
Hmm.
Do you, is there anything that you see that happening with sales? You're saying, we're going to rethink how we do the buyer's journey because of AI that's going to drastically change? Or do you feel like it's just going to be the same thing, just replacing AI? So,
I think fundamentally, how people buy and sell is going to stay reasonably constant. Because if you look in history, every time there's a new technological advance and there's like this outcry of, oh, this is going to get rid of the sales profession, like fundamentally, nothing really changes. Like things, like automation comes in and aspects of it get easier, faster, better. But like in general, humans buy from other humans, like people buy from people. I don't think it's going to like fundamentally change in that sense. What I do think though, is like a really simple example is I'm about to meet with the CRO of a large company and I need to be prepared for that meeting. Old world is I spend hours and hours like researching, reading annual reports, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
New world is I can be at that level of informed in 15 minutes or
Yeah.
5 minutes. So I think there's wins like that that happen across the way.
Yeah, I look forward to the world where I'm a Marvel fan. So I think it's Civil War, where
Mhm.
Iron Man is showing his barf machine where he's going in the past and watching a virtual reality version of himself with his parents. I think about that same thing, but imagine an AI who could research out a CFO who publish things and do a personality assessment and all the stuff they posted and all the company information and build this personality that I can virtually in a world, either on Zoom or in real life, interact with and practice with and be tough on so I can like literally have these practice rounds before I go to a really hard 7-figure negotiation. Like that kind of thing is fascinating. That again, we just never had the tech to do before. And then yeah, but it's
It's
just,
like putting on the Iron Man suit. So
yeah.
they kind of AI augmented selling is to me. It's like you put on the Iron Man suit and I'm able to do things that I couldn't. Like I'm faster, I'm stronger, I'm smarter. I'm able to do things I couldn't do before, or I'm able to do things 10, 100 times faster and better than I could do them before.
I love that. I'm going to use that as a clip for this episode. There you go. I love it. Alex, so thank you so much for coming on. So grw.ai is your website. So grw.ai, grow AI. I will have in the demo tools library, your demos you gave me. And obviously it's on your website and on the YouTube. So if anyone wants to see, you can see it on my website or on yours. And just love the conversation. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? What do you prefer?
I'm probably most active on LinkedIn, Alex
Okay.
McNaughton, and I'm on Twitter, X as well. But yeah, LinkedIn's the best place to find me.
All this stuff. Isn't it funny how Twitter's been X for a while? This is totally said now, but everyone's still
Twitter to me.
Yeah, it's just Twitter. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if it'll ever die, but that's okay. Alex, thank you so much. Totally a pleasure to talk to you. And I just want to wish you best of luck, man. This is awesome.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you having me on.
Cool. No problem.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.